Are you struggling with loneliness? Feeling depressed? Are you searching for a purpose to live? Are you ready to tap into your inner greatness? Ready to soar to your full potential? Come and be inspired. Join me, Dr. Asha Mwendo, on Healing Moment inside Gospel and Soul every Wednesday, 6 p.m., where we will help you to understand your purpose. We will help you to find your wind. We'll show you how to open your wings and fly. Healing Moments, Fit FM 96.7, your life, your music.
Killer beat.
Good evening, good evening. How are you, my guests, and everyone listening to me this evening, wherever you are? It is good to have you in the house with me this evening. To all my international friends and my local friends in Jamaica and all over the world, I want to say good evening to you. I am your host, Dr. Asha Mwendo, and you're listening to Healing Moments on Fit FM 96.7, your life, your music. And this evening is brought to you by Wellness in Motion. And so, as usual, Healing Moments join the call for elimination of violence against women and girls. We need it to end now. And so we need your cooperation to help it. As I tell you this evening, I'm going to have an awesome guest. Her name is Kaikuwa Taje. And this evening, we are focusing on celibacy and abstinence. Interesting, isn't it? Well, you know how it goes already. We like you to interact and participate with us. So remember now, you join us on Fit FM 96.7 on all social media platforms. And then you can listen to us on fitfmja.com. And you interact with us on WhatsApp on 876-482-4944. So we're expecting you to connect and be with us. But you know the drill already. I'm going to give you some time to get your pen, take a sip, call a friend, and come right back after you listen to this.
Hi, this is Second Chance, and I'm just sharing my testimony about the love of God. All right? Kick it now, man. Tristan, kick it now. Oh, well. Say God is still loving me. Yeah. Save me from sin and shame. He removed my shackles. Yes, he did. And he broke those chains. God is still loving me. Sometimes I wonder why. I know I don't deserve it. None at all. But he still gave his life. And I'm proud to do the world. Lord is mine. Running lonely. Say I ain't going nowhere. I ain't gonna leave my daddy for no one. Lord is mine. Running lonely. Say I ain't going nowhere. I ain't gonna leave my daddy. Oh, Lord, you're so divine. You reign supreme over all mankind. Whoa, 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 whoa. Yes, I'm truly blessed. You lifted me from all my mess, yeah. And I'm proudly confess. You were thinking about me, Lord. I didn't even care. You had your arms around me. You followed me everywhere. I was like a good child who gave
Yes. Welcome back. Welcome back. You know, we have our God on our side and all, you know. So, this segment is our Let's Talk segment. So, as we go into our Let's Talk segment this evening, we're going to look at two things, right? Right? One is not comfortable to most of us to talk about. But if we don't talk about it now and do what we can to fix it, then we'll have to deal with it. So, coming up on Friday, September 10th, it will be the World Suicidal Prevention Day. And I'm asking us to take action. The theme that we'll be using this year is the focus is creating hope through action. So I'm calling upon us to give hope to our friends, give hope to our family, check in on each other. A lot of things are happening around us that cause concern. And sometimes, because of hormone changes, you don't even know why some persons get depressed because their hormones is off balance. And they will tell you they're not worrying about anything, but they just don't feel so good, right? So when your friends don't feel so well, if you have a friend that is having suicidal ideations, you have a friend that is wishing they were dead, listen to me, they don't want to die, but they want to stop feeling the pain. So you can't take anybody's pain away, but guess what? A pain shared is a pain lessened. So be a friend, be a shoulder that someone can lean on. Sometimes they don't even want to talk. They just want to know that you are there. They want to be able to reach out and touch you. And if you can't be in their presence now because of what is happening, guess what? You can be a friend on the phone. You can send a message to let them remember that, remind them that you're thinking of them. And guess what? Nothing beat the power of prayer. So always pray up a friend. Whatever it is you use to deal with your challenges, offer that same kind of support and help to somebody else. They need it. We want everyone that we know today to be alive tomorrow. And if someone must go, let them go in peace and not out of pain. So, as we're coming up towards Suicidal Day, I'm asking us, light a candle, figuratively, and light a candle in reality to show that you're standing and support of others who are not feeling so well. Mental illness is not something we like to talk about, it's not something we like to focus on, but just like a broken hand, it is real. And we have to help each other to deal with their situation that they are going through. And if you are one of those persons this evening that is feeling like you just can't go on, you're considering to end it, I'm reminding you, if you kill yourself this evening, you are not ending the pain. You are just passing it on to someone else, because you'll be passing on that grief and that pain to your family and your loved ones. And no matter how lonely you feel and how out of it you feel, I am going to tell you, somebody will miss you. Somebody is right now missing a cue for someone who is down and depressed. Pay attention to your friends, right? And your loved ones and your family. And pay attention to those who are always high and upbeat, because many times we are the ones who also need a shoulder to lean on, because we need, as it says, no man is an island, no man stands alone. We need the love of each other and the support. So let suicidal thoughts and tendencies be a part of the past. Let's help each other to move forward. And if you yourself realize you are going through this mental crisis where you will need help, reach out. There is always someone waiting to help you, to guide you, to show you the way, just to be a shoulder, just to be a friend, someone to pray with you. And if all else fails, call 876-870-2284. Healing Moments is here to help you and support you. We will not let you fall through the cracks if you reach out. We will be the net, we'll be the wind beneath your wings, and we will surely help you to fly, right? So we'll help you to fly. Okay, so now we are moving on to what was. So I talked to you a while ago about what will be, and so now I'm talking to you about what was. But just before I talk to you about what, let me talk to you about what was first, and then I'll let you listen to something, right? So yesterday was, guess what? Yeah, some of you might have guessed it, but for those who may not have, all my international friends and local friends who might not have guessed it, yesterday was Miss Lou's birth date celebration. So it was a celebration of the date when she was born. And as she would tell you, Howdy and thinking of Bruckner Square. And she is the one who paved the way, create a path for us that even though locally we are still arguing whether it's a language or it's a Creole, whatever it is, part what is, internationally in the world, we are known and we're acclaimed, and in many areas of the world, we're accepted. It is being taught in some institutions. And I know our international guests, when they come here or when they see you and they meet you in foreign lands, they want you to pop a little twang for them and tell them something, right? And remember, if you trouble me, me might have to call my brother to come defend me, although it's me one my mother did got, right? And as Miss Lou would say, when Jackass back strong, them overload him amper. And so some of us right now, COVID and make we amper overload, and we're full of troubles and trials, and because them think we're strong. But as I tell you, no matter what you think about me, today for me, tomorrow for you. And most times we don't value each other because back then, no, the value I'm short till it tear off, right? And so that's just a little bit of Miss Lou for you. And then we're going to pay a little something for Miss Lou, and then I'll bring my guest on because I see her looking all beautiful, looking at me. Okay.
It means to say, John, to that grow up on my mentality. And I truly are. No, all right. That's my theme song. Or is the song that I always start everything with. Come make me hold your hand. You know it? You don't can't sing it? You don't want to pinky sing? Everybody, come make me hold you. Come make me hold you. Oh, wait. You know this thing I happen too often, you know? Somebody has in your hand. Listen, man, it's not your hand, it's your hand. Now pile up the culture. This not true. Thank you for that. No part of the culture. Now you see, when I used to go to school, them used to sing some song about we never sing come at my holy hand, you know. They used to teach me to sing. Do you ken John Peel at the close of day? Do you ken? Oh yeah. Now do you ken John Peel? What a crisis. No, they did not say, do you know John Peel? They said, do you ken? Them talking them for them language. So when me attack my language, I must say, your hand. I say, your hand. If you can ken John Peel, you can say, your hand. All right. This long time, y'all may never see you. It is a long time.
Yes, yes, yes. That was Miss Lou. And comment with hold your hand and to speak with language properly. Because the D of the hand and is not hand. You know, we say han. Yes. When we talk, you know exactly what we mean. Because when they speak the English, is talking to the whole of us, me and Julia in here now, and you come to and talking to both of you, and you say you, and we're not sure which one of you you're talking. But if you talk Miss Lou language, now we say oh no, we know it's all are we, right? Yes. So this evening I have an awesome young lady with me. She have a lot of local connection, but I won't tell you all about that just yet. Good evening, my lovely lady, and I'm going to let you tell the people and what you name. That I don't tell it.
Greetings, everyone. Greetings. My name is Kaiko Atasia. I'm really excited to be on the station this evening.
It's good to have you, my dear. So how have you been?
I have been well. Today's been busy. We were running up and down trying to get our Jamaican passport, but everything's worked out in the end. So all has been well.
Awesome, awesome. So you see, tell the people where you are.
I'm in UK. I'm in the London, UK.
Okay, so she is in London, UK, and she's getting her Jamaican passport to come and visit we. Yes, yes, yes. And she wants to come home as a yardie. Okay. So it's good to have you on this evening, Kaikoa. And you know, you have been an interesting young lady to speak with. And I have been enthused listening to your programs and everything. And so I said to myself, a beautiful, empowered young lady needs to talk to my young people all over the world this evening. But the first thing, as some persons were asking me as they saw the flyer, everybody want to know what is IME. So tell us first, as an IME instructor, what does that mean?
Okay, so IAMI is a service to help empower young girls and women with teaching them life resources like how to create boundaries, how to create self-confidence, how to respect yourself, how to exercise the no muscle, how to utilize your femininity. Essentially, it's like a curriculum, the same way how we learn maths, English, history, geography, and these skills are essential for the real world. I
Right.
think a niche for young girls being taught how to transition into womanhood. So that's essentially a summary of IAMI.
Awesome. That sounds really good. And you're a young woman, and you have, I am not going to waste a lot of time beating around the bush and all of that. The floor is yours this evening, and what we want to talk about, a little focus on, and as I told you before, I really don't do interviews, I do conversations. So we are going to go into our conversation this evening with you leading, doing most of the talking, and if I am not understanding something I want to repeat or I need a little bit more, I will hint, right?
Okay.
However, when we were talking, we talked about many things, many things. And so this evening, I want us to start where it is hardest to imagine for young people, especially young women, to consider for some persons. And sometimes people think something wrong with you if at a certain age you're abstaining, but you have taken it to a different level and you're talking about being celibate. And we consider celibate to be poor palm priests.
Okay.
So, tell us a little bit. What does a young lady have to do with celibacy? What is celibacy, and what is it? What does it mean to you? Is it something you practice? Is it something you teach or encourage? And what are the benefits? So that's all of that I want you to tell me in a few minutes. We're going to talk now. So over to you.
Okay, well, thank you. I've actually taken some notes to ensure that I touch on all the topics.
Yeah.
So, initially, I started celibacy. Oh, it's been 3 years now. It's been 3 years, and I started it because as I had been initiated into womanhood, I realized that there must be something more. Being intimate, it was only physical. I felt only a physical connection, and I'd heard of it being so much more. And so I realized quite quickly, actually, that I was depleting my energy with the partners that I was choosing.
Mhm.
And so I think, to be honest, I think there was like a innate awareness that I shouldn't use my energy in this way, but I didn't know at the time that I was um oversharing. That sounds that not that I was being promiscuous at all, but I had relationships with people that was not we were not equally yoked. And
Mhm.
so um I realized that maybe within like a year and a half, and I wanted to start celibacy, but again, because it's like this very foreign, marginalized idea, young people are to enjoy themselves, explore, have experiences. So it was playing in the back of my mind whilst I continued to date. And then I had a partner who was a couple of years older than me. And he felt that he could make life decisions for me. And that's when I realized if I wasn't intimate with him, he wouldn't have that power over me. So I finally thought I really have to lock this down. And at that time, I feel like spirit was saying to me, look into it, look into it, look into it. So I finally looked into it. My definition or my understanding of celibacy is to abstain with purpose. So for some people, majority of people do it for religious reasons. I'm spiritual, so I do it for my spiritual purpose, for my spiritual beliefs. Um, yeah, so at first it was incredibly
Just
challenging.
before you go into your journey with celibacy, what is celibacy, generally speaking? Give us a little bit more detail on what it is.
Okay, so celibacy is the practice of abstaining from physical contact with a partner or physical contact with anybody actually in order to save yourself for marriage, for religious reasons or spiritual purpose. That's my definition of it. And
That's
it's normally
abstaining
for,
from sex and other intimate relations,
yes, yes, yes,
right?
yes.
Okay.
Whereas
Continue.
abstaining for the most part, you're doing it in reference to time. So you might abstain from food or from any form of pleasure, food, sex, social media for time, for 10 months, a year, 6 weeks. Whereas celibacy, it's more so for a deeper goal.
Yes. Okay. Continue talking about it.
Right. So when I entered my celibacy, it was absolutely a challenge. Dr. Asha, I would be lying to you if I said otherwise. It was challenging. I instantly thought, like, why am I doing this? What's the reason? And I'm going to be honest as well. At first, there were times when I like had hiccups, and that's when I realized that I lacked sexual discipline. So at first, I started it because I wanted to reclaim my power back. I knew somehow, somewhere already, I knew that my sexual energy was my power, but I wasn't able to articulate or use that language. And so the first couple of stages, your hormones are all over the place. You have people, you have your ex-partner that you have access to. There are people that you can reach out scratch the itch. But I kept on thinking, energetically we are not in alignment, we are not balanced, this does not serve me. So after I think like the first 3 months, somebody that I truly loved came back into my life, and again there was this thought of like, oh man, I'm going to have to be intimate again. And that's when I was like, no, that's when the message started coming to me. This is about discipline. So
Right.
when I went into it, I was kind of avoidant. I'm going to be honest. I was avoiding having someone take over my power. But on this journey, there's been like so many like, bombs of information that I was not expecting at all. So when my like the love of my life came back, and I had this idea that I have to be intimate. Then Spirit was talking to me, was like, no, you don't have to be intimate. You can be intimate non-physically. You can share connection. You can share conversation. But you already had an agreement with yourself, with your body, and with me that you're not sharing yourself. Initially, it was supposed to be for a year, but then when I started to realize the amount of work that needed to be done, it couldn't be done in 12 months. So that's why I extended it for 3 years.
Okay.
Um, another reason why I began becoming celibate is because I had emotionally numbed myself out. Um, I'm a very sensitive, very intuitive, very feminine person. And so if I'm dating, even if we don't make physical contact, I remember your sister's name. I remember your favorite dish. I remember your birthday. And so especially when you're doing online dating, you're exposed and you have access to so many people. So there's a lot of data, not only in my mind, but in my being. And so I became numb. And for me, being a young woman, at that time I was very young,
Mm-hmm.
I knew that it would only, if I continue to conduct myself like that, I would only end up bitter and sour and ruined. And I did not want that at all. So I thought, let me reclaim my power back now and, hopefully transform this. Um, So yeah, it's been a very, very long journey, and it has been ups and downs, ups and downs. Oh, I was supposed to get a book actually, but there's a book right up on my wardrobe. I think grab it. It's one of the really powerful resources.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna
Go
quickly grab
grab
it
it.
right
Go
now.
grab it. Go grab it. Right. So there you have a young woman telling us about her journey into celibacy. And she said something profound, which I will have her talk a little bit about more, which is something that I believe in that each person you let into your space, you exchange energies, you exchange their powers, their everything with to yourself. And when you do actually have sex with somebody else, a part of them becomes a part of you and help to change who you are and who you intend to be. And so we need to be cleansing our spirit. And that's one of the challenges we face going into relationships after relationships with all of these karmas and these energies that are negative to us. And then we keep replicating negative energies in our lives. And so we need to come to a point where we do some cleansing and self-finding. And so Kaikawa have decided to do that through celibacy. So she's going to tell us some more. Go ahead, my dear.
Okay, so one of the powerful resources, I'm sure many people are familiar with this woman. Her name is Queen Afua. Here are two of her books. So this one in particular was exceptionally helpful. There's a chapter in here, or a blurb rather, where this lady is essentially going through a training of how to really become a holistic woman. And she said that as she started to detox her body from bad energy, from bad food, from bad mental state of mind, people became attracted to her. She was like honey, she was alluring, she was magnetic. And when she explained or put out her demands or her requests rather, that the men that she interacted with would have to abstain or avoid having meat, simple things like this, they were instantly cutting her off. And she said something that was so essential for my journey. She said, until the person that is balanced and is my natural counterpart comes, I no longer can engage. I can't interact with people anymore. And for me, that was it was like the knock on the door that I needed.
Mm-hmm.
Having someone that is maybe 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10, but you're still ending up depleted or void, it's just not enough. When you realize, well, okay, this is just my realization,
Right.
how important your energy is,
Mm-hmm.
you wouldn't share it. If you would not be intimate with somebody and give them £15, let me talk about in your community, if you wouldn't give them
Yeah.
$1,500 then you shouldn't be giving them your body.
Right.
It's especially for young people. If you wouldn't give a diamond to somebody that's only offering you cubic zirconia money, and that's the
Mm,
same way that we're looking at it. Our bodies, for men as well, this is not just for women. Our bodies are beautiful, and our body, especially um, when you're being intimate with someone, that's actually I'm kind of going all over the place. I'm really passionate
that's
about
all
this
right.
topic.
You're telling your own story.
Okay, I'm gonna look at my notes quickly. Right, so oftentimes when I talk about it being celibate, because at first I wasn't mentioning it to anybody in fear that they
Mhm.
might judge me. But when I became more grounded and more confident in it, I was able to have the conversations. And people
Mhm.
would instantly denounce it and say, like, oh, I don't believe in all this energy transferring. I don't believe in this idea of you can transfer things, there's no transmission, you do your thing, you leave. And
Mhm.
to a certain extent, I understand that because in the society that we live in, they make it look like it's a physical interaction only. But I
Yes.
think it's quite a reductionist approach to reduce it down like that. Because if we were to go into a room and someone's got bad energy on them, you can feel it. They kind of like suck the air out of the room. You don't want to go eat the chicken near them. You don't want to be nowhere around them. So if we can all acknowledge that, then how comes when it comes to being in the boudoir, we completely forget that?
Yes.
It
You
doesn't
know,
make sense.
when the libidos are riding high, our mental faculties tend to take a break. And when we are being led by our passion and not our purpose, we tend not to want to hear counsel from anyone, and we don't want anybody to stop our flow. So sometimes it is hard to accept that we are really exchanging energies, and it is kind of hard to accept too that sex is something that is more than just an act with a person, but it's really becoming intimate and interacting at a higher level with someone. Because if we know, even first time in heathen times, I don't know if they still do it now, maybe some group still does it, but sex was something that was also done at some altars in worship to some of the deities that people worship. So sex is a very powerful thing. It's releasing yourself to someone else. And I though it goes both ways for male and female, I do believe at some level the woman receives more of good or bad from the partner they lay with because we are receivers. We are
Mhm.
receivers. And so we tend to receive more, sometimes too much more than we were expecting to receive in many different ways. So continue, my dear.
Yeah, I just want to add to that. I have a video about it actually, the power of femininity and the feminine principle. Actually, let me just go back to this. So there's a yin and yang principle, and it's an East
Mhm.
Asian philosophy that there's masculine energy and there's feminine energy. So as women, we are feminine dominant. And one of
Mhm.
the things is that we are recessive, we absorb. Even if you look at the anatomy of a woman, we are the tunnel, the yoni space. We are the ones that receive and take in. And so it's essential that we are mindful with who it is that we allow into our space, because
Yeah.
it's just like rhythm. I always look at things in energy. So even though we come as complete beings, if you look
Yes.
under a very intense microscope, we're just energy. So but imagine if I was with somebody who hates their mom, who's misogynistic, he doesn't like women, he's having a tough day at work, he's eating really unwell, he's mentally struggling, he doesn't feel fulfilled in life. And I say, I love you, baby. I welcome you into my space, into my heart, into my body. Am I
Yes.
going to wake up and be there the following morning? Absolutely not. No, I will not. I'm going to take on his energy. Especially a lot of women are empaths as well. So
Yes.
just have to be mindful. Another thing that came from celibacy was an elevated version of self-love.
Yes.
Now, seeing that it's been 3 years, the tallest, henchiest man with the fullest beard can come around me. Yes, I will feel temptation even after the 3 years. Yes, my body still responds. Yes, I feel the tingles, but there's now a sense of discipline that Okay, I can feel this sensation, but I'm not going to submit to this sensation.
Right,
I can
right.
acknowledge. I can
That's it.
even, if I wanted to go as far as, flirt with him, engage with him, but leave it at that. Because at the end of the day, his physicality is what's beautiful to me. I don't know what his philosophies are. I don't know what his beliefs are. I don't know the ins and outs of him. And before I allow for someone to enter my space, I have to know, because people don't talk about it like this, but because I've stayed in such a long time, I've had a lot of time to think about it.
Right.
Sex is a Sex is a contract. So I need to ensure that you have all the conditions, all the policies, all the terms that are fulfilling for my contract and vice versa before we engage. And I also wanted to go back to the spiritual component of it as well. Yes, I also have read texts where kings and queens used to use their intimacy, not just for the physicality of it, but to ensure that their community, to ensure that their kingdom was thriving and was fulfilled.
Right. So just before you go a little further, I want to take a little break to big up our friends, our listeners. So we have listening in this evening. We have Philip Lodge. Philip, tell us where you're listening in from, and we have Melcinda, our faithful. She's on this evening with us. It's good to have you. We have Pauline Williamson who says good evening. She's out of Clarendon, so she's listening and she says good. And we want to big up Jamuel Samuel, who is listening to us from Liberia in Africa. And he is thankful that he's able to listen into this wonderful program this evening. And we have watching us Tavia, and Tavia is in the house. Hi, hey, Tavia, big up. So we have a number of persons listening in, and we want to big them up. We're just going to play a little bit of song to get them tuned up again, and then we come back to the conversation. So roll it, man.
Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Bring me all that riches, bring me all the fame. Really, all of a sudden, people screaming my name. Bring me all that bliss, bring me all that gain. Yeah, bring me all that riches, they are mine. Bring me all that silver, they are shine. Bring me all the things you think will blow my mind. Yeah, you can bring me the sea, can bring me the river. Yeah, yeah, only 'cause living water can fill my cup. Oh, can fill my cup. Doesn't mean I'm greedy, doesn't mean I can satisfy, but I need more than the world. I'm not trying to compromise what God has in store for me.
Hey, welcome back. You're listening to Dr. Asha Mwendo on Healing Moments on Fit FM 96.7. Your life, your music, brought to you by Wellness in Motion. And my guest this evening is Kaiko Wataje out of London, and we are talking celibacy. And so it's good to have her on with us this evening. I have a number of guests listening, and I want to thank you all for listening in. I see Nola Pusey. She is like, can we call each other ourselves old Nola? Yes, I was talking to some ladies this evening, and they told me, oh, they talk about old boys, but we don't want to be called old girls. And so Nola Pusey, we go way, way, way back to from high school days. Used to take the same Grams bus to school. Yes, way back in those days. It's good to have you on listening to me this evening, girl. And so we go back to our conversation with Kaikoa. And it's for me, it's really interesting, The song we were just listening to called Fill My Cup. And sometimes as I was listening to the song and thinking about celibacy and sex and everything like that, sometimes we're not careful of how we fill our yoni cup. And so this evening, we're hearing about how to protect our yoni cup and how to get it cleansed and how to renew ourselves as we move forward. So, Kaiko, welcome back. What more do you have to share with us this evening, my dear?
Yes. I want to like piggyback off of you saying to
Yeah.
fill our cup and to make sure that it's done well.
Yeah.
So, um, sexual energy, when you actually think about it, when you boil it down and you let it go through the filtering system, it's creative energy. So during your celibacy time, it doesn't mean that you have to completely shut down all of your sexual desire. It just means to utilize it for higher things. You can create a business. You can create joy in your life. You can create new friendship circles. You can create going to a new job or extending your skill set. So it's really about creativity. And you've also mentioned like cleaning our yoni space, protecting it. One of the most essential ways for me to honor my femininity and honor my sexuality without having to be intimate with other people is dance. I love to dance. It doesn't mean that I can dance,
Girl.
it can be anything. It can be dancehall, it can be jazz, and I make it intentional. So I will turn off my bedroom lights, I will light candles. Sometimes I dance naked in the mirror to acknowledge all of myself. You clean yourself up and just be intentional. Feel the swaying of your hips, feel the rotation, feel the movement, and enjoy that. Enjoy yourself, as opposed to having to offer it out to people. And I see in my notes here that
Mm,
I'm not necessarily encouraging everybody to be celibate, because some people are in healthy, fulfilling relationships that is in alignment. And I don't see why they would need to be celibate. For
right.
me, people that an ideal candidate or someone that might want to look into it are people that are being intimate, but then if they're not fulfilled after, it's like a chore, like a thing that we do because everyone does it. Or even if it's a stress release, a lot of people use it for stress relief, a lot of people use it to go to sleep. But when you realize the actual power of it, the best way to look at sexual energy is like you're £1 million voucher. How do you want to utilize this £1 million voucher? Would you ever hand in £1 million voucher just to go to sleep or to relieve stress? Or would you
Yeah.
offer it to somebody that's just good looking?
Yes.
No one would do that. So when you learn to master it, and I am not a master yet, even after 3 years, I am not a master yet at all. Um, you just use your discernment more. You're more mindful and conscientious of who you allow to engage in it. So that was one of the points that I wanted to make. Another thing that I find interesting is that we are living in a world that is so sex focused.
Yes.
But I question if we actually want the sex, want the intimate, do we want sex or do we want intimacy?
Right.
Because how we engage with sex now, you know, I don't know how it is in Jamaica, but in London, you can literally go on your phone, go on a dating app, see the people in your local radius,
Hmm.
get a drink, get a smoke, and within 40 minutes, the transaction has been completed.
Okay,
There's
then.
no, does that happen in Jamaica as well?
It do happen. It do happen, my dear. And sometimes we get more than a drink and a smoke. You get some money too.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Depends on what the transaction is all about. It depends on what the transaction is all about. Yes.
Right. So, with that being said, it lacks intimacy. And I
Yeah.
think as humans, we are naturally social beings. I want to sit with you. I want to have lunch with you. I want to know what's going on with your day. I want to be a part of a social network, especially when you're, and it's very oxymoronic because when you're intimate, particularly women, we produce 3 times the amount of oxytocin that men do. So our
Yeah.
bodies, when we're in the act, we are connecting. But society has had it that we just are intimate and then leave each other.
Yes.
It doesn't add up. After you've been intimate, sometimes you want to cuddle up. And if you don't, more time it's because you've been trained to like do your thing and leave.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Even
Mm-hmm.
if you do have to hug someone, I don't know what report I saw this in, but if you hug someone for 20 seconds, your body starts to induce oxytocin. So to me, that's like a call, like our physiology call that we need to
Yes.
be connected. So as opposed to connecting physically, why don't you connect emotionally? Why don't you connect
Right.
over a cooking course or watching a movie together or learning a language together? I know it sounds really outlandish, but sex can potentially be a matter of life or death. You can be producing
Oh,
offspring
yes.
or you can be catching a life-threatening disease. So it's nothing to be played around with. This is not a joke thing. Just because our bodies are capable of it doesn't mean that we should actively be going out and using that energy so nonchalantly.
Yes. And before you go further, while I was preparing for this evening's program, I decided to do some private vox pops. I need to decide to check some persons to get their feedback on celibacy. And so, and I get to understand some persons really don't understand what it is all about. That's for sure. And then one lady said to me, I'm celibate. No, I said, are you celibate or you are between relationships? She said, well, me not have no man right now, so I'm celibate. So I said to her, no, you're just between relationships and you're anxiously awaiting going into another one because that's when you feel fulfilled. And, she's saying she can't be celibate because she's not a priest and it's priest business that. So they look at it and she said, furthermore, it's not natural because that's why some priests, and I'm not passing innuendos on anyone, no, I'm just repeating, some priests do the things that they should not be doing because it's not normal. So, we had that conversation. I passed no opinions. I just talk with her, express some desires for her to become more whole in herself. And, I was saying to her, it like how you're between relationships now. It's a good time to pause, take some thought of self, do some self healing, some self cleansing. And I don't think you should get back into another relationship until you're complete by yourself. Because until you're complete by yourself, you just keep seeking that which you cannot find because your love cup is incomplete and you're hooking up with people whose love cup is just as incomplete. So you're both not deciding now to share emotions. You're just sharing your body, but then you don't realize that when you share your body, not paying attention to the emotions, at the end of it, you feel more empty than when you went in. And sometimes you curse upon yourself, you beat up yourself. I shouldn't have done that. And I say, I'm never going to do it again. So the thought of celibacy and finding self is really, really very good and intriguing. And I know that some of us who are not in a position to be celibate, sometimes we kind of, one part of it kind of crave it. And so then you have to come up in a different way of how you will heal. But if you're not in a relationship, this is a good thing to make sure you're well enough to go into the next one because you would have find yourself. But what is important is when you point out that celibacy is something that takes time for the purpose to be identified. Right. So having said that, I want to hear more. I want to hear more. Give me some more juicy tidbits.
Yes. Dr. Asha, I think I was in a relationship. And
Mhm.
me being in a relationship is when I realized I need to get out of this relationship. I was in a relationship that on paper looked like exactly where I should have been. He made good money, he treated me extremely well, but I personally knew that he didn't want what was best for me. He wanted me to fit into his ideas. And
Mhm.
considering that he was older than me and I don't want to say naive, but there was an age gap, and so with that, there was a
Right.
wisdom gap. But he didn't know. I was a young woman. I could feel it. I could feel that something wasn't right. And I
Yeah.
said, you know what? I have to excuse myself. So to a certain extent, I understand what the lady's saying with it not being natural.
Yes.
But I would go as far as saying that the way that we can look at it as being natural is it's an act of self-love,
Yeah.
self-preservation, and self-respect. When
Mm-hmm.
you have no choice, when you're in your bed and your body is flustered and heated up, and you have decided, you have made that commitment Nobody is going to ease this sensation. You
Mhm.
learn, it's like a level of self mastery. You learn to rise above it. I
Yeah.
fast on Wednesdays and Sundays. Sorry?
Mhm.
Oh,
I hear
okay. Okay.
you.
I fast on Wednesdays and on Wednesday and Sunday, and as you can see, I'm a very, very chunky girl. So I do that so that food doesn't master me. I master food. Food,
Yes.
sex doesn't master me. I am learning to master sex. I can't have somebody be in my space, and just because my body says so, it
Mhm.
happened. The next thing you know, I had it unprotected, and then I've got this child with this man that I don't even appreciate. No. So I had to leave the relationship. And again, even months after leaving that relationship, the love of my life came back. And I'm going to be honest, there was this like feeling like, oh, I'm going to have to cut this short. And then I thought, what am I cutting this short for? It's either he stays or he goes. Either way, I'm committing to myself. And the
Mhm.
benefits are infinite and abundant. I can't, it's difficult to explain. I've shared this with my colleagues, I've shared this with my cousins, I share it with people, not to force it down their throat. Under no circumstance is it a force. I
Mhm.
just say try it for 30 days. If you're someone that's not in a relationship, but you are being physically intimate with people and you feel not like not like numbed down, void, try it for 30 days, see what happens. Yes, you're gonna be I'm gonna give you a pre-warning. Yes, you will feel heated. Yes, you
Mhm.
will feel hormonal. Yes, you will feel flustered. But it's similar to giving up any kind of pleasure. When you stop smoking, it's not delightful. But once
Mhm.
you master how to stop smoking, you can save your money, your teeth aren't gonna be yellow again, your lungs are gonna be able to absorb all that oxygen. There's hills and valleys in life. And
Yes.
so, and then also, okay, let me just also mention the relationship.
Yes.
Because the first year, I after the first year, I was feeling really proud of myself. Whoa, wow, look at me, I've reached the year. And one of my
Mhm.
mom's friends said to me, you haven't been celibate this year, you've been avoidant of trauma this year. That's what you have been.
Yes.
And I was just like, oh my gosh, what a downer. But when I thought about it, it's true.
Mhm.
I was running away from someone trying to take my power from me. So that's when I had to look into it, look into why do certain people in like the religious hierarchy choose to abstain? What is it that why are they abstaining? Are they
Right.
gaining power? Even sportsmen, if you ask footballers, boxers, athletes, they're celibate before their big games because they want to
Mhm.
cultivate all of that energy and utilize it in their sport as opposed to releasing it in ways that don't serve them the best.
Yes. And as you say that, and there's another person that I spoke with, and this one was really interesting because she was in a relationship. So she and her partner have decided that she said they were together for a while, having sex, having quarrel, having all kind of stuff. But then they realized that they were not fulfilling to each other. They felt guilty almost all the time because every time they have sex, they look back at their upbringing and they think they shouldn't have been doing this because they're not married. And so it was a bit toxic and together. So now they are still in this relationship and they are getting engaged later this year, they said, but they have been in a relationship for 2 years now,
Wow.
celibate together.
Oh,
So they have made a commitment to each other to support each other in this act of celibacy. So now they are in a relationship, and she said people will pass remarks like, "Oh, no, not married yet" or whatever. But they realized that they needed to heal separately while they heal together before they understand if they really want to get married and stay together. Because they were
I
having
think
toxic relationship, toxic sex, but now they are together. So for them, it's a little bit hard and easy. Why do I say hard and easy? It's hard because the temptation is really there. You're living this temptation. You're not living together in the same space. You live in separate houses, but you're meeting up, you're going to places, you're having time alone together, and you can't do certain things, but you are together. But it becomes also easy because they are now able to remind each other of purpose and help each other in support and tell each other, this worked for me, that worked for me. And she says, like you said, when it gets really, really crazy, they go dancing. So
Yeah.
they create a way to expend the energy safely and still continue on their celibate journey, hoping to get engaged later on this year. And they have now engaged me as their marriage counselor. So I'll be starting that process with them. But they want to do counseling before engagement to even decide if they want to become engaged. And I find it really, really responsible of them continuous making a decision among themselves and then taking it to the different levels. And I spoke to the young man's mom, and because he told me his mom thinks he's crazy, and I spoke to her, and she said at first when he told her that he was still with this woman, but they're celibate, she thought her son had gone on the down low and is a homosexual and is hiding it and using the people and girl pick me to cover his bad ways. She couldn't understand. She said she never know nobody will want to do that. It sounds unreal. But she said she have learned to respect her son. She have seen him grown before her eyes as a man because he didn't grow up with a father figure in the house, but he find his own masculine figures of support outside. And he has turned around and he's become so mighty and so strong and so big in her eyes. And this is a mom who has become proud of a son who she thought was a bit crazy and gone over on the other side in the beginning, because it's not normal for a young man to come and have that conversation with you. And so now they are reaching the stage where now they're now coming into counseling now to involve a third party into this relationship that when they spoke with me, and the reason why they spoke with me is because they saw the flyer that I put up for you talking about celibacy and abstinence. They said, so other people do it too, And so I was able to, talk with them a little bit. I even said to them, when they are comfortable and ready, I will connect them with you that maybe you can have them on your program one of these evenings that you do. So before we go further into this celibacy conversation, I want you to share a little bit of your personal self with others. So tell us a little bit of what you do, how you do it, and about that YouTube page you do have.
Okay, so well, I suppose they're two separate parts, but I'm a support worker. So I work with 16 to 18-year-olds, offering them life skills, advice, how to get a flat, budget plans, just essentially because they're in the care system, there are some skills that they've not been taught. So we fill in those gaps for them, try to make adulthood a lot easier for them. So when they live independently, it's smooth sailing. So that's what I do for work. And then on the side, I run a very small and humble YouTube channel called Iame, spelled Eyeame. So you can find me on YouTube. And we've just been touching on a variety of topics. I've talked about how to wash the feminine body, what you're supposed to do when you're having your cycle. I have a video in the making on how to heal from being daddyless. I talked about celibacy, the power of femininity. There's a variety of topics on there. So there's a lot for everyone to choose from.
And I particularly love the one you did with talking about the women, the powerful women that have impacted your life until you have reached this where you are now. I really, really love that one, and how you talk about how each of these women in their own right are strong and how they also sow into your life. And that is really important as women and as sisters to each other, how we create that sister network, that sister circle, that we support each other, that as the younger ones grow up, they can feel the energy, the power, the strength from another sister that makes them who they want to be. And so as you talk about that, I want my listeners to know coming up very, very soon, sometime in November, I'm going to be having a wellness circle. So I'll be having 2 wellness circles, 3 wellness circles in particular. I'll be having one wellness circle, which is just for sisters. I'll be having a wellness circle for brothers. And then I want to do a co-ed wellness circle where we have brothers and sisters coming into the same space and talking about their emotions and their feelings. And this is part of preparing us and for healing and for renewal as we move into 2022. And so I want us, because we have had a lot of traumas and dramas in our life this year, and we have had a lot of sisters who are barely hanging on. You know, when one sister said to me today that she can hear her nails, proverbial nails drawing on the glass, how she's hanging on. She feel like she's going to fall. And the nails are scratching and squeaking and making so much noise. And she's just trying to hold on for dear life. And so I have decided I'm going to be doing 3 circles, one sister circle, one circle for our brothers, and then a circle where we come together as one and speak into the life of each other and heal. And so you can, Kaiko, you can look out for your invitation as one of my sister circle speakers. That because we're going to be doing this, and we're going to be doing mighty, we're going to be doing powerful, we're going to be doing awful, awesome, and we're going to empower our women as they move into becoming their best selves, healed self for 2022. So let's get back to your journey of celibacy, my dear. So you are telling us where you are, and you're telling us about the experiences of celibacy. You are telling us the benefits, and that is really, really important, because we don't understand the healing of the yoni space. We don't understand how important it is as women, because our men are our strength, they are our support, but we don't understand the power that women hold in guiding the energies and the movements around us, and how we are the ones who give the receiving and the feedback and guidance to a healing of us as women, to healing of our brothers and healing of our nation. So continue talking to us about this journey, my dear sister.
Okay, oh goodness, there's so much. I have to keep note because over here it's midnight, so my mind.
We like when you do your notes. You keep it focused. That's all right.
Okay. Well, can I quickly just go back to the couple, the young couple that have chosen to be celibate for the last 2 years?
Yes.
I think that's so powerful and a true definition of self-mastery, especially when the buffet is available on the table, accessible, you have that person, and you're still not engaging. That is discipline. And I'm young still, and I'm still learning numerous life lessons. But one of the things I have understood so far is discipline is what's going to get you far, not necessarily talent, not
Yes.
necessarily even network. It's
Mhm.
discipline. The fact that they are able to have those primal, animalistic, hormonal urges and say no. Oh my gosh, that is
Oh, yes,
discipline
indeed.
and self-mastery at its finest.
Mhm,
I can understand why I can understand my mum would look at it side eyes, but I think that's a part of our social conditioning. We're
mhm.
told this is how it goes, and so that anyone that does something alternative or somewhat eclectic or comes off of the main railroads, it's like, oh, what are you doing? You're not
Yeah,
following protocol.
ain't working
But
here.
yeah, give thanks to the brother for making that decision.
Mhm.
Another thing that I wanted to say is that I think it's powerful that he is talking to his mum about such a decision,
Yes.
because I mean, I am from the diaspora. I'm not currently in my original home, but back in the day, that is including your family, including your village, including your community in your relationship was essential.
Yes.
I think that's kind of why we are where we are right now in like contemporary society. Before,
Mhm.
from young, people would know this 6-year-old girl is going to go with that 8-year-old boy, and then
Yes.
as they grow up, the elders would agree with it. The young boy would go through his rites of passage. The girl would go through her rites of passage. They would be prepared for them to connect. It wouldn't just be, her bum's fat, him trunk. It would not be that. It would be so much more. It would be multifaceted. Not only would it benefit them, it would benefit their families, and it would benefit
Yes.
the overall community. And most importantly, it would benefit Most High. So with him incorporating other people, seeking your counsel, engaging with his mum about it, it's kind of like, it's Sankofa. It's
Yeah.
looking back at how we once did it. So I just wanted to mention that. It put such a smile on my face. And
Yes.
also, if we did do that more often, we wouldn't end up in stupidity relationships,
That is
because
it.
we think at a young age, by the time we're 16, 17, everyone thinks they're big and grown. Even myself, I thought, I know everything I need to know in this world at 16. And
Yes.
so you start talking to people and you don't have the ability and the wisdom to pick up on the red flags. But
Yes.
because there's this taboo between telling your mom, like, oh, Ma, I'm talking to this person, she would be able to see with her own eye. He said he's supposed to come at 3 o'clock, it's now 4:30, red
Yeah.
flag. But because we're not engaging and involving other people anymore, this is
Yeah.
why people are having access to our sex instantly. So I
Yeah.
wanted to touch on that. I also wanted to talk about men on celibacy, because I know there is a attack on masculinity, especially if
Yeah.
a man is to be celibate. Again, I'm trying to be very truthful. Before I entered celibacy, I used to look at them like soft men, or not alphas, they're not alpha males.
Mm-hmm.
But when you are being intentionally celibate, it's very strong, it's very determined, it's very focused and streamlined to
Yes.
override those urges. Um, for men, I would say we've spoken a lot about women cleansing their bodies and detoxing their yonis and honoring their femininity. For
Mm-hmm.
men, advice would be, any woman that offers up herself, hold on, I'm trying to say it politically or diplomatically rather, a woman that is not aware of the treasure that she beholds and offers it up to you, be mindful. Be mindful, because yes, we are the receivers and men are the givers, but again, it's rhythm. When you're actually being intimate, the energy is rhythm, it's
Yeah.
movement, and so she takes on your energy and you take on her energy. So don't be fooled that just because you enter her, you leave scotch free. That's
No.
not how it goes. Be mindful of women that are always available to you, because it means that she's not aware of her worth. And the same way how men wouldn't go and get, the new Jordans or the new Nike trainers for £10, because they would think something's wrong with that. These are
Yeah.
supposed to be £150. Why are we getting them for £10? That's the
Mm-hmm.
same way you should do it with women. If a woman says to you instantly, "Yeah, I'm available," just be mindful. That would be my take on it.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And
Yes.
then, finally, there's another kind of story that I wanted to talk about in reference to spirituality and sex. So, um, in Kemet, ancient Egypt,
Mm-hmm.
men who was in soldiers, men that were in the war, they would have that fight. They would go through all of that masculine energy to fight, to be strong, to be on the lookout at all times,
Right.
and they would go back home to. They were called temples of Horus, and that's where the term whore comes from. The temple
Mm-hmm.
of Horus, where women had learned and mastered how to utilize their sexual energy. The men would go there, be with the women, and kind of replenish themselves.
Yes.
Um, so it just shows how important it is. It was like a known practice. That was the women's sole jobs. But again, because sex is kind of being used as um, a weapon now, it's turned
Mm-hmm.
the ideas of Horus, the temptresses of Horus, into
Mm-hmm.
just whores. They weren't whores. They were replenishing the soldiers that had fought for the land. So I thought I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
mention that as well.
Yes, and that is very important to take note of, because we do not understand. You have a man who is broken. He went through a hard day. He might have lost his job. And then when he goes home to a woman who loves him. She understands him. And even when she herself is saying in her heart, "My God, how are we going to eat?" But for the
Mm.
moment, she forget that that is a need, and she provides that support, emotional connection with him. He feels renewed, he feels strong, and tomorrow morning he gets up and he go and he struggles and he fights again. And then they would wonder, how is it he manages? Because he have the right support. But on the other hand, I think of men who are going to go in to play cricket and football and these things. They are told to abstain from sex, and they are to keep their energies. And it brings back to show that when you do actually have sex, you lose something. It is said that when a man do have sex, it takes 3 to 4 days for the zinc to build up back in his system. And it is one of the challenge I have come to realize that a lot of our men are mentally not really doing very well, because the zinc that is needed for the brain is also needed for sex and for the sperm and everything to be created. And if you keep on having sex, 3, 4 women every night, you're having sex, your body don't get time to rebuild and renew. And so you're depleting yourself. So you become an aggressive person, you are boisterous, because you're losing all of this energy, all that the body needs to keep renewing. So a time of celibacy and healing. And I know a lot of persons, because of church reasons, spiritual reasons, religious reasons, they may not be having sex, but they are not being celibate, because they are longing, they are burning, as they would say, because they have not taken a decision to hold self, find self, know self, as the decision of celibacy would do for them. And so this is an encouragement to persons who are listening in. You're not having sex for whatever the reason. Maybe you need to take this moment deliberately as a process of healing, preparing the mind and the body, both male and female, to become new and to become worthy. Because that's another thing we don't look at. And as you do said about the men and women who, if a woman is coming at you and she is too available, she is too free, too cheap, as they would say. And when I say cheap, I don't mean the money she charges you. I mean in the cheapening of her own self, to be willing to lay with you for anything and willing to lay with you anywhere, just for that moment, that 15 minutes, that 20 minutes of pleasure, because it's not even so long for some. It's not even so long for some. I'm sorry. It's the truth. It's not even so long, because there's no intimacy, no love. So it's just slam, bam, thank you, ma'am, move on to the another one. And you leave empty, broken, and not really fulfilled in your spirit. And so therefore, this time of celibacy is a good thing, a time of renewal and preparation. So as we're coming down into our final moments, give us a little bit more, then I will give the persons, I'll tell my listeners a little bummer that will make them feel good. So go ahead.
Okay, so there's two things that I want to mention.
Yeah.
There were, as you were talking, there were other books that came to me that
Yeah.
were really, really cool in my celibacy journey. If I could just go grab them as well.
Okay, sure, go
Just
ahead. I saw you looking.
okay, so it's these two.
Right, so she's not gone far. So
So,
she's coming back to talk with
this
us.
book,
She's sharing her book, yes.
this book is called The Secret Science of Black Male and Female Sex by T.C. Carrier. So
Mm-hmm.
when I picked up this book, I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to learn all the ancient arts of being intimate. So when I've entered my sacred relationship, I am going to be an absolute queen. But Dr. Asha, he it was literally the last chapter that he spoke about sex. He
Yes.
spoke how to heal yourself, how to love yourself, all the things that we are going through, especially as people with a lot of melanin. The
Yes.
world is an easy place for us to be in. And so he goes through all of that. And I feel like that's a reflection of the amount of work that we need to do before we get to the final stage of intimacy. When he finally touches on intimacy, he talks on how long it should take. It should be hours. It shouldn't be a 15-minute 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. You look into each other's eyes, you connect your souls, you connect your
Mhm.
breath, you connect your heartbeat with each other. Because
Mhm.
many people will tell you, those that are intimate with um a person that they actually love, and then any person, majority of people will say to you, the person that I love is always better. The person that I love is always more intimate. So they're talking, they're saying it with their words, but they're not like realizing it. So
Yeah.
that's one book. And then this book I read in the last year of my celibacy, a couple of months ago. It's called Love in Color. It's got a beautiful cover
Wow.
by Olu Babalola. So
Mm-hmm.
this is a collection of like very about I think 16, 17 mythical international stories, but it's in a modern way, and it's showing ethnic people in love. Not just because a lot of the time in media we're seeing just being these hypersexualized beings, but no, it explores love and sweetness, and it was really enjoyable during the journey. So that's
Yeah.
that, and then I think my last words would be to be worthy of being intimate, to be worthy of having sex. The essential part is healing. If you were going to sell something to someone, you would never
Yeah.
just say, "Here, book, take this, chuff, just take this." You would never do that. You would clean it up, make sure you take a nice picture of it, you would advertise it properly. And that's the same with our bodies and ourselves.
Yes.
Healing is not easy. Even when you finish one healing, another trauma comes. When you finish one layer of healing, you get
Yeah.
childhood trauma. You see that? Oh. It's not easy. You have to be diligent. You have to be conscientious. But there are infinite benefits to it. The next time, if you go a year, 2 months, however you choose, when you enter that relationship again with someone that is on your frequency, you're going to think, what was I doing beforehand? So
Yes.
those are my yes.
It's, and one of the things we want to point out to persons, when you have made a decision to heal yourself, as soon as you finish a layer, while you're going through healing for this layer, the pain of the other layers will come. And I normally say to persons, when you have decided to go through a process of healing, don't search for the pain. Open your heart and allow the pain to come. And it will
Mhm.
come at the different levels and about the different events that you need to heal from. It will start flowing to you. It will come quicker, faster, easier after a time. The pain will be intense, and you allow yourself to go through that and do the process of healing. That when you do decide to, it's like a rose. When you do decide to open up that bloom and allow the fragrance to go out and hit somebody else, they become so enthralled with this pureness, this newness. And women who go through celibacy and women who take a time out for healing and men who do that, when you see them after a while and you look at a person who is healed, they look so beautiful. They look so different. They look so whole. And so, as we're coming down, I want you to use a few moments now to speak into the heart, speak to a young person who is considering celibacy, who is wondering if this make any sense for them, or who simply just need to heal.
Mm. Okay, so I'm going to say it as the version of myself now to the version I was before I entered the celibacy, and hopefully it resonates with those,
Mhm.
with others. So give it a shot. There's,
Yes.
for the most part, only benefits. Don't
Mhm.
dedicate your life to celibacy for the next 15 years. That's unreasonable. Give it 30 days. 30 days of no pleasure with others. If you want to be radical, don't even pleasure yourself. No self-touch either. But and
Mhm.
when you feel that urge, when you feel that sensation, when you feel that warmth, dance, cook, journal, talk to somebody, draw, go for a walk, work out, do your hair, find another way to release it and
Yeah.
write it down, write how you're feeling.
Mhm.
There are the five benefits that come to me with being celibate off the top of my head is you don't have to worry about pregnancy scares, you can avoid STIs, you get to learn yourself. You'll be so surprised the amount of extra time that comes out of nowhere.
Mhm.
And then the fifth one would be You set yourself a challenge and you've accomplished it. And
Yes.
I would put my neck on the line to say, if you can go for 30 days and reap the benefits, you're not going to stop until your body is completely, let me not say completely, because to a certain extent, are you ever completely healed?
Right.
But when your body will tell you when the time has come, because a partner that makes sense to you, it's not force, it's not struggle, it's not headache. There's friendship, there's respect, there's love for the families of each other. The
Yes.
next thing is, let us finally be intimate, but not before then.
Amen.
That
And so, before Kaikua goes, I want to tell you people that we have so much more to talk about. We're going to talk so much more about femininity and other things, a number of other things that we have been talking about. So, guess what? Can I tell you? She will be back next week. And so next week she'll be coming back and we'll be talking about a number of other things, talking about women empowerment, how the women in her life have sown into her life and help her to be who she is, how she have learned to know the positive and the negative energies around her. And so she will be back. And so want to thank you. Remind persons again how they can find your YouTube page that they can listen to you in the meantime until you come back next week. Go ahead.
So if you type in Ayami, spelt Eyeame, I am me,
Yes.
I'll pop up. I just put a new picture, so you'll definitely see that. Alternatively, or as well as, you can find me on Instagram. I don't post as much there. I'm working on it. Called Ayami Project. So again, EYEAME Projects, and I'm there too.
Right. So I want to thank my guests, for joining me this evening. And someone is going to beat me, but I'm going to say it anyhow. My back is broad. She can't beat me that hard anyway. She is the granddaughter of one of our local JPs in Trelawney here. She is the granddaughter of our well loved. A lot of people know Miss Lash, Joy Lash. A lot of people love her. So this evening we have had Miss Lash's granddaughter on, and she'll be back next week to speak with us on healing moments. And we have so much more to share with you this evening. But I really wanted her to start talking about this part of celibacy and personal healing that will prepare us for what we're going to talk about next week. So, Kaikawa, we thank you for setting up with us. What time is it now? Do tell.
1:25 in the morning. But I just want to take the opportunity to say thank you so much for having me on the platform. I truly enjoyed my time. I look forward to seeing you next week.
So looking forward to seeing you next week. Go to sleep, my love, and we will talk next week again. Blessed be.
Blessings, blessings, blessings.
Right. So that was Kaikoa Taja. We had her on with us this evening, and she'll be back again with us next week. We want to thank her for setting up. She has set up to stay up late to be on with us, and it is such a pleasure to have her, such a young, strong woman, and she know who she is, and she's continuing her journey of healing and into herself. So we look forward to having her with us next week. Before we go into our affirmation, we'll give you a little music and then we will do our affirmation.
Yeah, you can bring me down. You can bring me to river. Yeah, yeah. Only 'cause living water can fill my cup. Fill it up, fill it up, fill it up now. Fill it up, fill it up, fill it up now. Fill it up, fill it up, fill it up now. Fill it up, fill it up, fill it up now. Fill it up, fill it up, fill it up now. Fill it up, 'cause only you, God.
Yes, yes, yes. So my lovely guest, she has gone to her bed, I hope. And so this evening, as I thank all my guests for listening in this evening, I am glad to have you all in the house, all my listeners on YouTube, Facebook, and on listening to us streaming live. We are so happy to have you with us. And for your affirmation this evening, I'm keeping it simple, keeping it straight. I want to say to you, no matter how your age, no matter how young you are or how old you are either too young or too old to be wearing people's opinion. At this stage in your life, you're supposed to choose you. So find the will to hold on to your purpose. Stay within that will and that purpose and allowing God's guidance. And if you do need, seek the support of each other that you can become your best self. So this evening, I'm encouraging you, do not allow yourself to be clothed, to be held back, to be pinned down by the opinions of others. The only person who know what is extremely best for you is yourself and your divine God. Nobody else. Everybody else will have a suggestion, but you alone can feel the purpose that beats within your veins. You alone can feel that rhythm of push, that rhythm of will that will help you to become. And so I'm asking you, I'm encouraging you, I'm saying to you, may God's grace go with you today and his grace and mercy attend you as it guides you into becoming who you have been called to be. And so, from Healing Moments this evening, I am your host, Dr. Asha Mwendo, and you're listening to me on Fit FM 96.7, Your Life, Your Music. And this evening's program is brought to you by Wellness in Motion. So until next week, when we come back together again for another awesome program, and yes, you have heard who my guests will be again. So I hope you will join us. And guess what? Tell others who have missed this week's program. Don't let next week miss them because they'll be missing something awesome. So I say to you, so, and remember, you can watch on YouTube. You can watch her on YouTube. You can watch us on YouTube and Facebook for our program. So you don't have to miss out. So if you miss it, if your friend miss it, tell them, go look for Fit FM 96.7 on YouTube or go back to our Facebook page and even on my Facebook page where I've shared it. And you can see this week's program and prepare yourself for next week's program. So I say to you, walk good until next week, same time. And I say to you in my words, may the Spirit guide you. And as Miss Lou would say, may good Duppy walk with you. Stay blessed. Yeah, you can bring me the sea.